Did Bitcoin just flash its most brutal signal in history? Right now, 99% of short term holders are sitting at a loss. That's the worst reading ever recorded. Price is tanking, sentiment is wrecked, and people are starting to panic. But here's the real question. Is something actually wrong with Bitcoin, or is Bitcoin simply reacting to much bigger forces brewing in the global economy? Today, we're digging into the metrics that matter: on-chain signals, liquidity flows, and macro stress indicators to find out whether this is a true warning sign or if everything outside of Bitcoin, from equities to credit markets to global liquidity, are the real problem. The real question now is, how bad is it going to get? Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift: more strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan: nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible. You opted out of the broken financial system by adopting Bitcoin and taking self-custody of your money. But protecting your wealth is only part of the equation. Now it's time to protect your freedom. My family is stacking sats and stacking flags. A second passport is our hedge against government overreach and uncertainty. If you're a Bitcoiner looking for your exit strategy, our friends at Citizen X will help you secure second citizenship through investment or descent. Book your free call today by hitting the link in the show notes or simply scanning the QR code on the screen. Yeah, it's Bitcoin is taking a dump right now. It wasn't that long ago. It was early October. We were hitting all-time highs. We were 125, 126. And earlier today, mid 80s. It doesn't feel nice, especially if you're new to Bitcoin. You're like, what in the hell is happening? I was promised spicy gains. And you're getting spicy drops. If 99% of short-term holders are at a loss right now, that's not a nice thing to be looking down the barrel of for your average person. And we'll just take a peek here. So here's the chart showing basically this bottom indicator here, the oscillation. Again, lowest ever. 99% of short-term holders are now at a loss. So if you bought within
the last 5 months.
So just to give you an idea, over here on the right-hand side, these are examples of prior collapses. 2020, the COVID crash. And this was wild. Like, this one was like a 60, Bitcoin got more than cut in half in like a few days. Then 92% of short-term holders were at a loss. So like, not as bad as right now. 2022 FTX, so the biggest exchange, it was like the darling of the industry at the time. I mean, the cracks were evident, but nonetheless, a lot of people trusted FTX. Kevin O'Leary going to bat for them. They've got all the big ads. They've got Matt Damon. They've got Tom Brady. They've got everybody on their side. And they completely collapsed. They rug pull billions and billions of people's money. And Bitcoin at that point dropped below the previous all-time high. Or sorry, the previous cycle's all-time high as a low, which people didn't think was possible. It had never happened before. It was always like, no, that's the absolute bottom. So it dropped below that. 94% of short-term holders at that time at a loss. Today, 99%. That's staggering. So yeah, it's not, I mean, again, you get through a couple cycles and you can kind of weather these storms. And percentage wise, this is not as big of a drop. But let's keep looking at some of these interesting metrics here. So risk indicator, there's a short-term holder cost basis model. So Bitcoin, again, falls below the lower band of the short-term holder cost basis model for the third time since 2024. So, some people can look at this and say, well, every time it goes below the band, it goes back up. Well, yeah, a little bit, but like look back in 21 into 22, it dipped below the band, and then it came back up only to dip again. So, are we still on an upward trajectory overall, or are we about to see some bear market action? And I don't know. Do you have a particular leaning either way, Nathan?
I do. I think we're coming into, I would say, I suspect we're coming into like a short-term bear market. I don't think we're doing like the years drawn out and sideways grind downwards. I think it's going to be one of those kind of crypto, I hate that word, crypto winters, Bitcoin winter. But I think ultimately what we're looking at is stress in the system. And I think this is going to end up being more reflective of the COVID crash, where it definitely could hurt more from here, but it's not going to be long lived, right? We have the new Fed chair coming in May too. I think there's going to be potential. We'll get into more of it. I think there's going to be a big response, but I would not be surprised to see things get a little bit more painful over the next 6 months. But then the magic happens.
Yeah, it could be. Again, we're gonna keep plugging along here, looking at a few more things here. This is a supply in profit/loss, and right now, almost 7 billion worth of Bitcoin are currently sitting at an unrealized loss, meaning that somebody bought it at a price higher than it currently is. So not a great metric to see. Also, Joe Consorti, he was on the show last week. Great dude. Bitcoin sentiment now substantially worse than it was at the 2022 low when FTX blew up. If that's telling you anything, and on top of that, we have the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. It's at 11. So that people are freaking the hell out. Now, historically, it's at some of the lowest it's ever been. It was lower. I think it was 10 the other day, if I'm not mistaken. But not looking so hot. I think I saw it at 9 at one point. But regardless, this could be a counter indicator. Like, when there's blood in the streets, the blood is your own. Now, this isn't just applying to people that are buying and selling Bitcoin. This is also applying to other industries in Bitcoin, including mining. And so the hash price index, Nathan, can you just illuminate people on what the hash price index even is?
So for the hash price index, I think it's the return they're getting on their mining ASICs on their hash power. So it's a reflection of how profitable the mining companies are, which is a combination of like what's the difficulty, how many people are competing in terms of what they have for their hash, as well as what the cost of Bitcoin is, right? It's the price that people are paying for their hash, because essentially they're just selling their hash to, I think it was the whole template thing. They're just selling their hash to other people and to pools. And so what it's telling you is that the value of the ASICs that they hold, the value of that hash power is declining, right? There's no demand for it necessarily in the market, reflected in the Bitcoin price. So essentially, miners are not very profitable right now. It's not a good time for the mining industry.
Yeah. So the headline here from Bitcoin News, Bitcoin's hash price has fallen to its lowest level ever recorded since Luxor began tracking the metric in December of 2016, almost a decade ago. So 9 years ago. So that's now you can look at this two ways. One, if you're a miner, that sucks.
Yep.
But two, it's also the market is, this is forcing the market to find efficient ways of getting power, right? And it forces the market to create more efficient hardware. And in terms of difficulty, it's self-adjusting. So there's a difficulty adjustment roughly every 2 weeks. And what happens is if it's taking longer, if a block is mined more than every 10 minutes, so it's taking longer to mine blocks, then the difficulty of mining Bitcoin drops, and the miners that were able to weather that storm become more profitable again. So it is a self-regulating thing. The difficulty adjustment is one of the important key components of the Bitcoin network itself.
Yeah, and I would expect to see it to come down over the next little while, right? With the hash price of this value, you would expect to see miners unplug or turn off some of their more expensive to operate rigs.
Yeah, 100%. Now, because of this hash price index dropping so low, we've seen some interesting things out of miners. And Nathan, you got a spicy take on this one, but Bitcoin miners pivot to AI to offset the bear market challenges. 70% of leading Bitcoin miners are now generating revenue from AI or high performance computing initiatives. AI hosting agreements can offer miners higher contracted revenue per megawatt than traditional Bitcoin mining. Pivoting to AI is changing miner priorities, reducing network hash rate growth, but improving business stability. So I saw this, an announcement from, Ben Gagnon from, what is their Bitfarms. Bitfarms. I saw that announcement there, but there's more here. Core Scientific, BitDeer, Iris, a whole bunch of them are expanding to AI. Now, you've got a spicy take on this. What are your thoughts on miners pivoting and maybe doing both, or just moving to general purpose computing like this?
I think it's going to bite them in the ass is what I think is going to happen here. Essentially, it's almost like the moment, like, it's the Gretzky thing, like, don't chase the puck, go to where the puck is. This is chasing the puck. Like AI, whether it's now or 6 months or 2 years from now, absolutely has at least a bit of a frothy bubble kind of situation going on here. The AI infrastructure as well too is not a constant demand, right? People have to be up and making requests and necessarily using it. It's not like ASICs that you just plug them in and set it. I think this is the wrong direction. And the unfortunate thing too is that they can't use these computing units for Bitcoin mining, right? You can still use the infrastructure, the energy that you have. So there's a little bit of crossover there. But like going back to like buying when there's blood in the streets, this would probably be a good time to start accumulating some ASICs for when Bitcoin starts to run again. And I think they're setting themselves up for disappointment as we see a bit of a cleansing in the AI industry as well too. I don't think it's necessarily a good idea. And ultimately, like, I've had many conversations about this. I think being just like an AI compute center or just a Bitcoin mining center is not a sustainable business model. That ultimately that ends up being a service that's plugged in directly to energy providers, or energy providers are the ones doing it. So I think this is flashy. It's fun. It maybe gives them a little bit of revenue in the long term, but I think that those units will also decline in their value, and it'll probably come shortly after. Like, it'll probably have that moment, and then Bitcoin will start to rip again, and now you got to go out and buy more ASICs and swap them out and replace them.
Yeah, opportunity cost. You're sitting on both sides of the fence. But again, like, you've got, you can't use an ASIC to provide AI, right? Like,
Yep.
that's different. It's ASIC literally means applicate, like it's specific to the application.
Yeah.
So you can't just pivot your Bitcoin miners. You got to get new infrastructure. And yeah, so there's an opportunity cost there. You have a data center, and if you want to swap out for the miners, you got work to do.
Yep.
Now, again, this is reaching beyond your average holder. It's also affecting some treasury companies in a way. Okay, so we got to look at this.
Let's take a quick peek, shall we?
So David Bailey. So the original tweet from BitcoinTreasuries.net, just in, Nakamoto has sold 367 Bitcoin and now holds a total of 5,398 Bitcoin. David Bailey quote tweeted it and said, just to clarify, we didn't sell Bitcoin. We invested the Bitcoin across several international treasury companies, Treasury BTC, Metaplanet, Future Holdings. As a core part of our strategy is monetizing our Bitcoin balance sheet. Our direct Bitcoin balance does not capture the value of these equity investments. Now,
funny word salad there, isn't there? It's like, okay, we didn't sell the Bitcoin. Okay, let me just say, you took your Bitcoin, which is the money, and you gave it to somebody else in exchange for their paper equity. Okay, sure, you did not sell the Bitcoin. I will grant you that, but you did fucking spend it.
Yeah. Would this be it's more of a barter trade.
Yep.
I'd say but I mean, yeah, it's there again, like when you have a Bitcoin treasury and then you take some of that treasury, and then you give it to somebody else in exchange for another thing. I mean, you kind of sold your Bitcoin. Like you spent it. You're right. Like, but like
we're splitting hairs here, David Bailey, and it's nothing against you personally. It's like, yeah, you got rid of your Bitcoin in exchange for something else. Whether you went through dollars in the meantime or you just did a direct barter trade and essentially spent it, it doesn't particularly matter. But at the end of the day, like the big thing here, I think is that like this idea of a Bitcoin treasury company, like it's kind of an oxymoron, right? That like treasury is not a functional business, right? You could be a custodian, you could be like a Bitcoin bank, right? Those are businesses. You could maybe generate a business model around that. Like Saylor's kind of selling bonds. It's essentially what he's doing. And so I get that you could maybe call it like an investment, but I think this is just, it's another little signpost along the way that this fad has run its course and it's done, man. It is done. And I'm happy and relieved because this really was the shitcoin of this cycle. It was here. Give me your money so I can buy Bitcoin and I will give you my paper.
Yeah. I'm not bullish on Bitcoin treasury companies.
No.
Honestly, like it's further removed than buying the ETF, right? Like the ETF is you're getting exposure to Bitcoin. When you buy a treasury company, you're getting exposure to a dude who has Bitcoin.
Yep.
Like that's sort of like a group of people who have Bitcoin, who have no obligation to keep the Bitcoin, right? Like they can say, they can promise that they're going to do that, but like again, it's not the same. And I think for your average person, the best thing to do is just have Bitcoin. You remove all counterparty risk. You have the thing. Just self-custody your Bitcoin, guys. Like again,
I completely agree. And the other one is that, like, I am not bullish on Bitcoin treasury companies. I'm extremely bullish on companies that have Bitcoin treasuries. Separate thing, right? Flip those around. It actually then works. And even just thinking about it a little bit further, I know that David here is trying to defend his company's position, and I get that. He's got to do that, right? He's got a responsibility to the shareholders. But essentially what he's explaining is even worse, because rather than spending money to have exposure to a guy that has Bitcoin, what they've done here is you're spending money to have exposure to a guy who has exposure to another guy who has Bitcoin. Like, and that's an improvement. That was somehow putting the company in a stronger position. Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I feel like it's an overcomplication of what could just be, you should get some Bitcoin. So yeah, it is what it is. I did want to mention that, yes, we've had a, we had a little sentiment was bad or is bad. We've had a 30% pullback, something like that.
Something like that. Because last I looked, we were at like 28%, but we're down from there.
Yeah. So whatever it is, it's a lot of double digits that are happening there. But I just wanted to historically kind of reflect on moments of panic again. So this is just looking back to the FTX crash when, there were these moments that were highlighted here in the short-term holder supply in profit/loss. And so they outlined the COVID crash and the FTX collapse. And so 94% of people, so not nearly as bad as the 99%, 94% for the FTX in 2022, and 92% of people at a loss for the 2020 COVID crash. And just again, to outline here, down here at the bottom, this was the FTX crash. It went down to like 15K. And, hopping forward, even just like a year and a half, it's like it was up in the 70s. So basically, had you just, opportunity there is wild. 15K Bitcoin, when a year and a half later, it's sitting at like 75. So that's wild. And again, jumping over to the 2020 COVID crash, which is right here, Bitcoin went to like 4K. It was a big drop. It was like 12 or something. It was 10. And then all of a sudden, it just got sliced in half during that COVID panic. And then, and this is the crazy part, 4K. in like April, March of 2020, and you go to literally a year and a half later and it's all-time highs.
Yep.
Like what I'm getting at is there are moments of opportunity. And yes, you could have bought when it was 10 thinking, oh, it's so low. And then it dunks to 4 and you're like, oh my God. But also you got it at 10. It was at 60, 69, like a year and a half later. So it's all relative. And yes, there could be moments from here where it's much lower than it is right now. But I'm near positive that there's going to be moments from here where it's multiples where it is right now. Hey, you. Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.